right, afternoon, everybody. This is Anthony from MkII Airsoft, and I got my brand new battle buddy, Andrew, right here from Protech Airsoft, and he is unveiling a brand new, shiny new thing for you guys to buy. Be excited. Here before me, I have the brand new Mark II from Protech Airsoft. Andrew, do me a solid. Tell me about what makes this special. What is so new and awesome about this thing? Because I am actually excited about it.
Okay, so this is a culmination of probably tens of thousands of hours of engineering over the last few years. We've been working on this system kind of on and off, and we finally decided to push at the end of last year, beginning of this year, to get this out by the end of this year. So this is a single solenoid. It's a three-way solenoid. It's a blow-forward design. It's all CNC machined aluminum. Right now it's 100% aluminum. However, we may offer a Delaware nozzle either standard or as a upgrade, so to speak,
There's an upgrade
down the road.
Maybe.
For some people that like that.
I mean, I prefer aluminum, personally.
I like it too. And you get some really cool colors in it. Final color is kind of to be determined, but it's probably going to be a gunmetal gray, very similar to this, maybe a little bit darker with a brushed finish. Very similar to like a nickel boron Aero 15 bolt.
Basically, so that way you guys that have open dust cover type bodies like GMPs and stuff, it'll actually still look like you have a bolt in your gun because it'll be gunmetal gray to match the coloration of a real bolt and a real AR-15.
It's a pretty simple system. They're really, the only part that actuates besides the very small pilot valve in the solenoid is just the nozzle. That's it. So you've got a handful of seals in there, a couple of static ones, a couple of dynamic seals, and it's been highly engineered to last a very long time. We've had prototypes that are a little bit different than this, but they've been running for millions of actuations.
Millions of rounds.
Yeah.
Millions of cycles it's been going.
The valves should last a couple 100 million cycles. You should be able to go hundreds of thousands, even with poor or no lubrication, technically, with those seals that are in there. So it's going to last a long time. It's very low maintenance. You might have to take it out maybe every 50 to 75,000 rounds just to check the O-rings and lube them up and stuff.
Yeah.
O-rings typically wear out before anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a very simple system. It'll drop in its current configuration into really any center line nozzle gearbox.
So that's where you're going to start. So we're starting with M4s, AKs, and M249s, or anything that has a variation that's very similar to those style of guns.
Right.
So like obviously like Masadas and crap like that too, Scars.
Yep.
And then this also is completely modular.
That's right. If you want to pull it apart, you'll kind of see that all we have to do to change to an offset, which is going to be down the road, you will keep the same, what we call the carrier piece here, which is what the nozzle rides in, but you will change the front cylinder and the nozzle, and that's it.
And that's it.
So it'll be a modulus type package where you can buy a cylinder and a nozzle together for the offset design later down the road. That's the Mark III.
Roger that.
Another cool name.
It's all, like I said, it's all official. I like official sounding stuff. I'm not going to lie.
And so with that Mark III, that'll come out more towards the end of the year, maybe even the beginning of next year. That'll offer you to be able to buy this system as an early adopter and not have to pay 5 times as much to go buy a whole new system if you want to put it in an offset gun.
Exactly.
So that's another great thing about it. One of the other things that's really great about the early adopters is they're going to get a couple of things.
First of all, yeah, we'll start with that. We'll start with what you get to start with and how awesome that is, and then we're going to move on to what you get as an early adopter, because as an early adopter, you're not going to get left in the dust. Talk about that FCU. Let's just talk about that FCU, because that thing's awesome.
This is the UFCU. This is the BTV1. So this is the Bluetooth version. This board, without the Bluetooth chip, will actually come with the base unit.
Fully functioning FCU.
Fully functioning FCU.
Functioning FCU. Yes.
So, got a nice strained relief power wire here with a JST connector. Standard stuff. We want to keep it industry standard. And that's kind of one of the things I want to touch on real quick. We want an industry standard, a lot of stuff across Airsoft, especially for HPA, and that's what this Bluetooth or non-Bluetooth FCU is going to do. So this plugs into our V2, V3, M249, modular trigger board for just about anything you want. A couple of things. This fire controller, even without Bluetooth, is going to have an LCD on it. So you'll have an LCD that when you press the select button here on the joystick, it's going to take you to a menu. Even the non-Bluetooth version, you're going to get a handful of options that you aren't getting with some of the other systems that are already out there.
Okay.
So you get a full range of dwell, rate of fire. We're going to have burst settings, which include semi-auto, full auto, 2, 3, 6 round burst, the most popular stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of what's the industry standard, so to speak. I want to kind of keep that going.
What's the power savings on your FCU?
We've had an earlier prototype that has been running for several months plugged in.
Several months plugged in.
I mean, your mileage may vary.
Mileage may vary, obviously.
LCD,
I do say that all the time.
Yeah, it will. But your LCD does not come on automatically on this. There really isn't a reason for the LCD to come on unless you need to program it.
Unless you go into programming mode.
Right. Even with the Bluetooth turned on, when the Bluetooth isn't being used, it's pretty much turned off to put into sleep mode. The microcontroller on this system uses microamps.
Yeah.
Even when you're getting ready to shoot. So the FCU will go into a sleep mode after a couple of minutes when you're not shooting. It only takes a fraction of a millisecond, so like 2/10,000ths of a second, for it to wake up and fire that shot.
So there's no perceivable trigger delay if it goes into sleep mode.
Right.
So for you guys that like to play long ops, like Milsim West, 40 hours straight, for example, your FCU will be going to sleep constantly, and you will never notice it.
Right.
You'll never notice it. It will save battery, and you won't have to worry about paying attention to your batteries to make sure that you swap them out and you don't kill them.
Right. Or if you're like me and you just leave it plugged in because you're too tired after that game.
Exactly, because I'm lazy.
And then you come back like 2 weeks later to go to another op, and then it's dead, and you're like, now I got to get another battery. So the other thing about this fire controller is...
You said it's universal, right?
That's right. It's the universal fire controller. We've teased this a little bit on our Facebook, so go like our Facebook and get more updates.
Go follow Protech Airsoft.
We have gone through like 10 revisions of this fire controller, and most of that was really just listening to consumers, what they had to say. That's kind of our biggest thing, is we want to appease the community.
It's not about what you want because you're trying to build a product.
Right. We want what is overall best for the consumer, but these products are, our tagline is engineered performance.
Mm-hmm.
We're all engineers, mechanical, electrical. We all have backgrounds, and I have 5 or 6 years in product design and development. But the thing is, we want to make it easy to use. So we did the trigger logic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people like that. If you're coming from paintball, you might like it. It's pretty easy.
Trigger programming, not my thing.
Yeah, you don't get enough resolution, and it's just kind of confusing. You might have to cut a hole in the side of your body, like in some of the other systems, to be able to see that LED and stuff. And so that can be a little bit cumbersome. So we can offer trigger programming in the future on a different firmware update, but you're going to get an LCD that you just navigate back and forth, up and down. You'll get your handful of settings with the basic unit. And then with the Bluetooth unit, that's where it really gets knocked out of the park.
The Bluetooth unit is actually something I'm very excited for, because what it allows for is adjustment of your intervals even.
Right.
So if you are someone who likes to tinker with your FCUs and get your dwells and everything perfect, you can actually divide up the increments that are stock and subdivide up your dwells even more, so you can be even more precise. So none of the other FCUs on the market offer this. This is something where you can literally go in and adjust the ratio in between all of your settings. You can, so like in the stock FCU, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's just whatever number. Here you can, on the Bluetooth upgrade, you can even subdivide that up. You could go like 2.2. You can basically divide it up even further to get a more precise shooting gun.
So that's one of the things is each HPA system out there is a little bit different. There'll be a handful of systems now with ours out there. The awesome thing is these are all made in the USA. We really like that. So by the way,
America.
This is 100%
American.
100% US engineered, manufactured. Nothing comes from overseas except for the little electronic components. Those all come from overseas.
Sorry.
But it is assembled here in the US. So we're all about US manufacturing, bringing jobs to the US, stimulating the economy. That's a big thing of ours.
So the universal and the universal fire control.
Yeah.
My question is if it's universal, is it universal?
So what systems, we tested it out on a couple yesterday.
We tested it out on a Jack.
Yep.
And an S&P.
Yep. So that means...
And Hydra.
Yep, so they'll work on any of those systems.
So basically, if you already own one of those other systems, you can buy this FCU right here. It will work on your stuff. It will work.
And this is a single solenoid version. We do have a double solenoid for the people that have fusion engines out there. Anything
like you and I, you own a Fusion engine.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, before you started this, you bought a Fusion engine. I own one as well.
Yeah, that's kind of where some of this started, where we decided to kind of make the leap, is that we saw sort of a gap in technology, both electronics and mechanical designs, just like fully engineered stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we looked at ourselves, my electrical engineer and I said, yeah, let's make a fire controller.
Yeah.
And
I love the idea that if you have any of the other systems, eventually you can upgrade to the universal fire control unit, and now it's industry standard. Everybody can run the same stuff.
Right.
We're
going to get to
compatibility issues anymore.
And the question is going to be, well, why do I want a different fire controller? Mine already works fine with my system that I already have. Well, that's where this system is really set apart.
All right, so we went through a bunch of the FCU stuff. A bunch more of that we're going to tease later when this becomes close to launch. I want to know a little bit about the mechanics, because I know a lot of our customers are really concerned about FPS tolerances as well as efficiency. Efficiency is a huge deal for a lot of these guys, because tanks are expensive. Yeah. Tanks are expensive, and they want to try to save some cash.
You never know when 2 shots are going to save your life.
Well, BB life.
Yeah, so to speak. So if you kind of want to pull apart the system, I could give a little bit. We don't want to go too far in depth just yet. So the system really has only 4 parts mechanically. You've got a nozzle here. Okay, this is the whole nozzle that goes through this. This is what we call the carrier. It's basically what routes the air around, keeps the nozzle nice and centered, and the nozzle
it doesn't wiggle or move or shift.
And it's the actuation point for the air. So I guess you could say it's like a poppet valve.
It's also a poppet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of a spoppet is what they call it in paintball. It's a spool/poppet valve.
See, there you go.
So kind of bringing some of that technology that hasn't quite been
utilized
entirely.
Exactly.
This does work off of a different design than anything else that's really out there.
Yeah.
Tolerance-wise, as far as the machining goes, some of these parts are down to 2/10,000ths of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are at least a 0.5 thousandths. So what that means is that when you thread this thing together and screw it together, it is going to be a perfect fit every time. Not only that, but even from batch to batch, especially when we release the front cylinders for the offset system, they'll go on like butter.
No,
you don't have any alignment issues.
No cross threadings. No.
Yeah. No issues where your
mistakes.
Your nozzle's sitting crooked in your system. Just the random crap that happens with airsoft stuff.
Exactly. The BB Wars life.
Yep. So when you pull the trigger, goes through the fire controller. The valve here energizes. You got a pressure that's all in the same system. We actually had a system that had dual pressure in it, but for cost and savings of time and
for initial run, for first batch,
for ease of use and maintenance, because airsoft, the easier the better.
Exactly.
But a properly engineered product will beat simple any day of the week. So this product has been engineered to perform, not just make it simple.
So what are we looking at for just ballpark with a 14.5-inch 608 barrel, which is just a stock standard barrel?
Well, with a wide bore, actually with an Orga.
With an Orga, okay, we'll just, all you Orga guys that are curious, we'll just jump straight in.
I like a wide bore.
I like a wide bore too, personally. That's just me.
So with a wide bore, depending on the bucking, because that's really heavily dependent with these blow-forward units, we were getting at least 1,000 shots out of a 13 cubic inch tank. But again, your setup is really going to vary. We had a tight bore, a 600, and we were getting 40% more than that.
So 1,400 shots?
It's pretty darn efficient.
Very efficient. Max FPS on this?
So that'll depend. We may actually offer multiple nozzle choices.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will be running in the Rifleman AEG range, right?
Yeah.
So like 1.5 to 1.9 joules at most. The nozzle that'll come with it will happily run, a 0.2 all the way up to standard 500-ish FPS. Again, it's going to depend a lot on your barrel and a lot of that stuff.
So for all you guys that run like really short wide bore barrels, little PDWs and stuff like that, there'll be upboard nozzles.
Right.
So then you can have a better air volume for those wide short barrels to keep your FPS up.
And that'll just depend. We're getting ready to run the final production of these. The truth is, if you have a really short barrel, just go with a tight bore. Like even a 603 or a 605 is enough to get, like AMS, Lion Claws type stuff. But no, you're going to be able to run a decent FPS. It'll go down.
For you while you're talking.
It'll run down pretty far too. So the system, we say that it's designed to run from 60 to 130 PSI. we've ran it down to about 35 or 40. It's just going to cycle slower.
Yeah.
So we always say that the best thing to do is actually to run these systems on the highest pressure you can because they cycle faster.
Which means you don't waste air.
Yeah. So the faster they cycle, the less air is going to be escaping through the ports and through the nozzle and stuff.
He's done science, so I'd listen to him, guys. Come on, man.
Yeah, we've actually, we gone through our own, like I said, we've done like tens of thousands of hours of engineering. One of the things that we've relied heavily on was particle flow studies, computer simulations, and actually like kind of wind tunnel studies on how the nozzle, the way that we've done it, when you see how it's being done, is a little bit different than anybody else. The way that the air flows through and through the nozzle, we learned from a lot of the paintball companies that you have to have that exactly right, and that's what gives you that extra bit of efficiency.
Exactly. And then we'll tease all of that stuff later.
And it's quieter.
Yeah. Now, with this getting ready to come out, when can we expect to see this?
So we're ramping up production. It is a busy time of the year, and we do make a lot of other products too. What we're going to try to shoot for is the early Christmas season.
Early Christmas season.
So maybe by Black Friday-ish.
New stuff.
Maybe. But we're definitely shooting for before Christmas. So if you want this in your stocking, you should pre-order it now.
There's some time. We, MkII Airsoft, are going to be running the first batch of these when they get their production up. So we're working together with Protech to give you guys some bonuses for being an early adopter. So first of all, early adopters, some of the bonus things they're going to get with their package. You're going to get LiPo battery. You're also going to get your unit pre-built with an amped IGL. So literally, for the early guys, on our end, you're going to be set, man.
This is where it's at. This is what I run myself.
So you're going to be set. Now, if you're an early adopter, you're going to get this. You're going to get a standard FCU from the word go, but the Bluetooth, which we'll be releasing actually very, very quickly.
Right.
Protech's going to take care of you. What are you guys going to do for them?
So what we're going to do is, before we release the Bluetooth version, because it is really the same exact board without the Bluetooth chip on it, not something you'd install yourself as a user, but what we'll do is we'll include a voucher all the way up until the Bluetooth units are here in stock at Amped. We will include a voucher so that you can send your standard non-Bluetooth FCU into us, and we will upgrade or replace it with the Bluetooth chip or give you a new FCU. So, and that's for just the difference in cost between the non-Bluetooth and the Bluetooth version. So it's not going to be like you're going to have to go buy the Bluetooth FCU by itself, which is a little bit more as a standalone unit. So that's the best way we can do it.
Literally, just all you're going to do is just pay the difference, turn in the voucher.
Yep.
They're going to ship you a new one, man.
Yep.
They're either going to update the one that you have, or they're going to ship you a new one. Now, what about firmware revisions and stuff like that? How are you guys going to handle that?
So that kind of does delve into some of the Bluetooth stuff. Because of the microcontroller and the level of programming, by the way, our electrical engineer, Steve, he is amazing. He's got years of experience. So we are building the Bluetooth app, which will come a little bit later, to be able to upgrade your firmware. In fact, it'll be somewhat automatic, kind of like with a GoPro.
Exactly.
How instead of you had to plug the cable in, or with like with some of the FCUs out there, you had to send it into somebody and do it. I mean, we can still do that if you don't have the Bluetooth version.
So just for the cost of shipping, you'll go ahead and update people's firmware on other FCUs.
Yeah, and we'll pay the return shipping back as well. So
check that out.
It's a pretty darn good deal. But if you have the Bluetooth version, once that comes out, either as this or with the player package that has a Bluetooth in it already, you'll be able to update the firmware to the FCU as well as the software for the Android app through the Android, and then later on, probably at the beginning of next year, we'll release the iOS apps. They're a little bit more complicated, so they take a little bit longer to do. We're not going to leave anyone in the dark. The thing that we don't want is for people to buy something and then be disappointed with it, or wait a year for to be able to use all the functions of it, which happens a lot.
To have something that as soon as they buy it, it's already outmoded.
Yeah, so no 50 revisions. We've gone through tons of revisions internally. So with the fire controller, we'll put some pics up on the website, but if you've been following our Facebook, you've seen this went from potentiometers on it. Those waste power. Nobody wants to screw with a screwdriver. If you're out on the field, are you going to take your screwdriver with you and adjust your stuff? The other thing is, later on, what's going to come, even with the non-Bluetooth, is profile storage.
Profile storage, but wait for that.
Yeah.
Wait for that, because that's going to be cool. All right, so we're looking at early Christmas season. Yep. We're looking at something that can get at least 1,000 shots with an Orga.
It's going to depend on your setup.
But okay,
Yeah.
but for generality,
Yeah.
generally about 1,000 shots out of this system in a
Yeah.
13 cubic inch tank, which is great.
It's going to be the same or better than any blow forward type system that's out there. In most of the tests, when we put it up against, we kind of baseline it against the Fusion engine because that's been the industry standard for a few years now, and it exceeded pretty much all of our performance requirements and then some, and it fits in way more stuff. That was the thing, is that people want to fit this in, different guns. I mean, 90% of the people out there have M4s, but a lot of people have other stuff, or they want to switch back and forth. They might not be able to afford having 4 HPA systems.
Exactly.
So that's where this becomes affordable. So we want to talk about the price.
All right, so what you're going to get as an early adopter of this system, you're going to start off, you're going to get a system that can get 1,000 shots, roughly out of a 13 cubic inch tank or more, depending on your setup. You're going to get something that can run up to 500 FPS with the stock nozzle. If you're one of those guys that needs more, there will be eventual upgrade nozzles for this, which is something that none of the other systems like this on the market have, as well as the ability to take the same system and make it offset.
Yep.
If you buy it from Airsoft, the very first batch of these that comes out, you're going to get free batteries and IGLs from the word go, so you don't want to worry about that. Now, here's the big deal. What's the price on this?
So for the base centerline V2, V3, and M249 should be the same price or within a few bucks. With the non-Bluetooth FCU, $300.
$300 flat.
Yep. So you're getting a fully functional FCU with all sorts of settings, pretty much compatible in 99% of the guns that are out there for that price. And you can switch it, and it's upgradable. And then when the Bluetooth version releases, it'll be $375 for the centerline. The difference will be that it'll have the Bluetooth and it'll come with free app access. So,
and basically, if you're one of the early adopters, you're not going to get screwed.
Yeah.
All you do is you take your voucher, pay the difference in price, the $75, and they will get you a new FCU.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're not left in the dust and your system isn't outmoded.
Yeah, so you can play right away, start taking advantage of it, checking it out, and then, not too long after the first batch releases with the non-Bluetooth FCUs, we'll be releasing the Bluetooth ones with the player app as well.
And it comes with the app.
Yep.
So that's an amazing. So, Andrew, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Look forward to seeing these guys soon, real soon, real quick. We're going to be starting doing testing on these pretty quick, so I'm excited for it. So this has been Anthony. Check us out on all of our social media.
Yep.
Keep your eyes out, guys. This is pretty sick. Later.